Family excluded me from a Christmas trip to Tahiti. This is no place for cheap like you, Mom said and blocked me. I got angry and emptied the joint account, then I received 25 calls. You know the saying about family being your safe haven? Yes, for me it was the opposite. My family treated me like a servant. I'm the youngest of 3 sisters, and growing up, my mom and my older sisters, Rachel and Kelly, made sure I knew my place. I wasn't a person with dreams or feelings. I was their errand girl, maid, and sometimes even punching bag. It wasn't just about chores. They controlled every aspect of my life. If I dared to say no to something, Rachel or Kelly would get in my face, sometimes even push me around. They made threats, and the worst part? My mom was always on their side. Even after I started working, they didn't let up. I got an online job after college, but any money I made became family money. I paid bills, bought groceries, and provided for their little luxuries. I didn't even complain. I was too afraid to. Then came Christmas. I could tell for weeks that something was up. There were secret whispered conversations, lots of online shopping, but I figured maybe they were planning a surprise or a party. I didn't ask any questions. Frankly, I didn't want to get yelled at for being nosy. A few days before Christmas Eve, they casually told me they were going on a long trip. Pack light, Kelly had said. We need the house to ourselves to get ready before we leave. They didn't even bother to say where they were going. I assumed a weekend at some resort nearby. The idea of them leaving me home alone actually gave me a little relief, peace, and quiet for once. So I just packed a small bag and got ready to lay low until they returned. The day after they left, though, reality hit me like a truck. I woke up to a bunch of texts from Rachel. They were photos of her, Kelly, and my mom posing in bikinis on a beach that looked like something out of a travel magazine. White sand, clear blue water, palm trees. A caption read, "Greetings from Tahiti. Wish you were here, just kidding." Winking face. I stared down at my phone, completely stunned. They hadn't just gone on some random trip. They were in freaking Tahiti. And not once had they told me. Not once did they ask if I wanted to come. Just like that, I was dumped, left behind like I didn't exist. I texted my mom and asked why they didn't invite me. No reply. I kept texting. Still nothing. Then I called. She finally picked up. "This is no place for someone as cheap as you," she said before hanging up. Cheap? After all the money I spent to support her? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I called again, but she blocked me. That was the breaking point. Years of being used, ignored, and belittled all came crashing down at once. I was done. I logged on to the joint account we shared. It was where most of my paycheck had gone. And I emptied it. Every cent. Then I froze it all. I didn't even hesitate. Let them enjoy their tropical vacation now. I was done being their doormat. Within minutes, my phone was exploding with calls. 25 missed calls, all from Rachel and Kelly. I ignored every one of them. They could yell all they wanted. For once, I was in control. And that was just the beginning. The calls continued for hours. At first I stayed strong and ignored each one. But curiosity got the best of me, and I checked the messages they left. The first few were filled with indignation. "Where's the money?" Rachel screeched in one message. "Put it back right now, Amanda, or you're going to regret this," Kelly warned in another. I grinned. They were panicking. Good. Let them feel powerless for once. But then the tone of their messages changed. The next ones were softer, almost desperate. "Come on, Amanda, you can't be serious," my mother's voice pleaded in one of the messages. "We need the money for the trip. We'll talk about it when we get home, okay?" Oh, now they wanted to talk. How convenient. After a while, I got tired of the constant buzzing and turned my phone to silent. I spent the next few days enjoying the silence. No yelling, no demands, no insults. Just me and my thoughts. It felt strangely freeing. For once, I could breathe without them hovering over me. But I didn't want to just sit around and mope. I wanted to hit them where it really hurt. So I did something I never thought I'd have the guts to do. I booked a flight. But not to Tahiti. No, I had another plan. While they were still sunbathing and sipping cocktails, I flew to California to meet with a lawyer. You see that house we lived in? It wasn't fully paid off. And guess whose name was on the mortgage, since I was the one making the payments? Mine. Legally, I had partial ownership, something I had never thought to use before. But now I was done being passive. I filed paperwork to remove her access to the joint account and took steps to claim control of the house. It didn't take long for the news to reach them. As soon as they found out, my phone started blowing up again. New numbers, unknown callers. I knew it was them. I finally answered one of Rachel's calls, just to hear the panic in her voice. "Amanda, what the hell are you doing?" she yelled. "Fixing my life," I said and hung up. The next day I got a text message from a number I didn't recognize. It read, "You think you're smart, huh? You won't get away with this. We'll be back soon." I shrugged it off. Let them come back. I wasn't afraid anymore. But then something unexpected happened. While I was waiting for my legal paperwork to be completed, I got a call from the bank. Someone had tried to access the joint account pretending to be me. They hadn't passed security verification, and the bank had flagged the attempt. I knew exactly who it was. They were desperate. A week later, the day finally arrived. My mother and sisters were back from Tahiti, and they stormed into the house like a hurricane. But they weren't prepared for what they found. They barged into the house like they owned it. Rachel and Kelly threw their suitcases on the floor while my mom stormed toward me with this wild, angry look in her eyes. "What have you done, Amanda?" she screamed. "Where's the money?" I didn't flinch. For once, I wasn't afraid. I stood my ground. "It's gone. And don't bother trying to access the account. You're all locked out now." Kelly stepped forward as if she was going to swing at me. That's how things usually went: intimidation, threats, maybe even a physical shove. But this time I folded my arms and said, "Try me. I dare you. Next time I'll call the police." She froze. I could see the confusion in her eyes. This wasn't the Amanda they were used to. They didn't know how to deal with me anymore. I think that scared them more than anything. Rachel cut in. "You're acting crazy. You think you can just screw us over like this? We're family." I laughed, an actual, bitter laugh. "Family? You mean the same family that treats me like garbage? The family that left me behind to rot while you went on a luxury vacation? That's not fair," my mother snapped. "We needed a break, Amanda. You wouldn't have liked it anyway. You're always so negative." "Right," I said, rolling my eyes. "Negative because I paid for everything while you all spent my money. But don't worry. I've made sure that won't happen again." Then came the bombshell I'd been saving. "I have already begun the process of taking full control of this house," I said calmly. "Either you follow my rules now, or you can pack your bags and find somewhere else to live." Silence. I swear you could hear a pin drop. For the first time, they were speechless. Mom's face turned red, and Rachel and Kelly started arguing with each other, clearly panicking. "You can't do this!" Rachel finally blurted out. "We helped pay for this house." "No, you didn't," I shot back. "I have bank statements that prove I've been paying the mortgage for years. You spent all your money on vacations and shopping sprees. So yes, I can do this. And I am." Mom tried to guilt me next. She softened her voice and gave me that fake sad look she always used to manipulate me. "Honey, you're being dramatic. We're family. Let's just talk about this like adults." "No," I said, shaking my head. "We're not sweeping this under the rug anymore. You're going to start paying your own way. That means rent, bills, and whatever else you need. Otherwise, you can leave." Rachel and Kelly exploded at this, yelling at each other about how unfair I was being. They called me selfish, ungrateful, and every other insult imaginable. I stood there and let them rant. The power dynamic had completely shifted, and they knew it. Then I pulled out my ace in the hole. "Oh, by the way," I added casually, "I recorded some of our past interactions. You know, the times you yelled at me and pushed me around and treated me like dirt. I have them backed up, and if you try anything stupid, I won't hesitate to send them to the authorities. Maybe even your employers." The color drained from Rachel's face. Kelly's jaw clenched so tight I thought she might break a tooth. I had receipts and they knew it. My mother finally broke the silence. "Okay, fine. We'll talk about the rent and the bills. But Amanda, don't do anything you're going to regret." "Oh, I'm not the one who's going to regret anything," I said. "Trust me." With that, I walked away, leaving her standing there in stunned silence. For once, I was the one in control. And it felt damn good. The next few days were tense. My mother and sisters tried to act as if nothing had happened. They tiptoed around me like I was a ticking time bomb. It was almost funny the same people who used to bully and belittle me suddenly didn't know how to handle me now that I had power. But I wasn't done yet. I spent those days securing my position. I met with the lawyer again and finalized the paperwork that would give me full control of the house. It wasn't a total eviction plan yet. But it meant that if they stepped out of line again, I had the legal right to make them leave. I made sure they knew that as well. Rachel tried to be sneaky about it. She pulled me aside one afternoon with that fake smile on her face. "Hey, Amanda. I've been thinking. We got off on the wrong foot. Maybe we should sit down and talk about how we can work together, you know?" "Work together?" I raised an eyebrow. "You mean like you worked me to death for years?" She flinched, but quickly recovered. "Okay, I know we had problems, but we're still sisters. We could help each other. Maybe if you let me handle some of the finances, Dash." I laughed in her face. "Yeah, no. You're not getting near my money again." I walked away before she could even answer. Later that night, however, things got weird. I was in my room when I heard someone shuffling outside my door. At first I thought it was one of the curious. But then I saw the shadow of someone slipping something under the door. It was a piece of paper. I picked it up and read it. It said, "You are not safe here. They're planning something." My stomach dropped. The handwriting didn't look familiar. Who had sent this? I opened the door and looked around, but the hall was empty. Just silence. At first I thought it might be a prank, but something about it felt wrong. I didn't know who to trust. The next day I stayed on high alert. I kept to myself and watched how Rachel, Kelly, and my mom acted around me. They seemed normal to them. But every now and then I would catch them whispering to each other in hushed tones. When I entered the room, they'd quickly shut up and act casual. By evening I had had enough. I had to know what was going on. I pretended to go to bed early, but instead I stayed up listening through the vents in my room. Eventually I heard them talking downstairs. Rachel was whispering, but her voice carried just enough. "We can't just let her ruin everything. We have to take back control. She's gone too far," Kelly muttered. "Maybe if we scare her, Dash." "No," my mother interrupted. "We have to be careful. She's serious this time. If we push too hard, she'll call the cops." My heart raced. They were definitely up to something. But the question was what? I wasn't going to wait around to find out. The next morning I pretended I hadn't heard anything. I went about my day as usual, but inside I was on edge. They were up to something. I just didn't know what. I kept replaying their conversation in my head. Scare me? Control me again? Not this time. Later that afternoon, I decided to get out and clear my head. I went to a coffee shop across town, ordered a latte, and just sat there thinking. I also couldn't shake the strange note from last night. Who had slipped it under my door? It couldn't have been one of them. Why would they warn me? Then my phone buzzed. It was a text message from an unknown number. "Leave the house tonight. They're not messing around. You don't want to be around when it happens." I stared at the message and my hands started to shake. This wasn't paranoia anymore. Someone knew what was going on. I texted back. Who is this? But got no reply. I tried calling the number, but it went straight to voicemail. I spent the rest of the day running in circles in my head. Should I leave? Was this some elaborate game to mess with my head? Or was I really in danger? When I got home, the sun was setting. The house was quiet, almost too quiet. Usually Rachel and Kelly would be watching TV or arguing about something trivial, but tonight it was like the house was holding its breath. I went to my room, locked the door and double-checked the windows. Just in case. Then I sat on my bed and waited. Hours passed. Nothing happened. I began to think that maybe I'd overreacted. But just as I was about to fall asleep, I heard footsteps outside my room. Softly. Slow. Deliberate. Then came the whispering. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but I knew it was them. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. My heart pounded in my chest. I stayed still and listened. A few seconds later, someone tried the doorknob. It rattled slightly, but the door didn't move. Then there was a soft knock. Amanda, are you awake? It was Kelly's voice, but something about it was off, too calm, too controlled. I didn't answer. She tapped again, harder this time. Come on, I know you're in there. We just want to talk. Yeah, right. I remained silent. Eventually the knocking stopped and I heard footsteps retreating. But I didn't let my guard down. Something was seriously wrong. The next morning I made a decision. I wasn't going to stay in that house anymore. They were up to something, and I wasn't going to wait around to see what it was. But before I could put my plan into action, things took another turn. I was packing a bag when my phone buzzed again. Another text message from the unknown number. They're getting desperate. They won't let you leave so easily. Be smart. Whoever was sending these messages knew exactly what was going on. I texted back. What do they want from me? Why are you helping me? This time I got a reply. They think you've taken too much control. They'll do anything to take it back. As for me, let's just say I know what it's like to be in your shoes. The message sent a shiver down my spine. Someone had been through this before, but who? And why were they on my side now? I had been on high alert all day. I could feel it in the air, something was going to happen, and soon. I packed a suitcase in case I had to leave quickly. But I still didn't have all the answers. Who had warned me? And what exactly were Rachel, Kelly, and my mother planning? That night the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I peeked through the curtains. My jaw almost hit the floor. It was my dad. Now here's the thing, you wouldn't know it from the way Mom talked about him, but my dad was no deadbeat. He and my mom had been divorced for years, and she never let us have much of a relationship with him. He lived out of state, and whenever I tried to reach out, Mom would guilt me with things like, "Oh, now you're going to betray the family?" Eventually I stopped trying. But here he was, standing on the porch with a serious look on his face. I cautiously opened the door. "Dad?" "Hey, Amanda," he said as he stepped inside. "We need to talk." How did you know to come?" He sighed and gave me a knowing look. "I got a call from someone who was worried about you. Said things were getting ugly around here. Was it you who sent those texts?" I asked, my mind racing. "No, but I know who did," he replied. "It was your Aunt Lisa." Aunt Lisa? She was my mother's estranged sister. I hadn't seen her in years, but I knew that she and Mom had a falling out over money. Apparently, Lisa had been keeping tabs on the family from afar. She must have heard about the power struggle and decided to get involved behind the scenes. "Listen," Dad continued. "Your mom and sisters? They're not going to stop. I know how your mom works. She's afraid you're going to take control of everything, and it's making her desperate. But you're not in this alone anymore. I'm here to support you." Hearing those words gave me a strength I didn't know I needed. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was fighting this battle alone. Dad didn't waste any time. "Here's the plan," he said. "We're going to sit them down and make things clear. They have a legal right to this house, and if they don't respect that, they're out on the street. I'll be here to make sure they don't try any funny business. We didn't have to wait long. My mom, Rachel, and Kelly came home that night, still unaware of Dad's presence. When they saw him, their faces fell. "What are you doing here?" Mom spat, crossing her arms. "I'm here to help Amanda," he said calmly. "And to make sure you understand something. This is her house now. You either play by her rules or you're out." Rachel and Kelly immediately started screaming, throwing out every excuse and insult they could think of. "You don't get it," Rachel yelled. "She screwed us. She's ungrateful. We raised her," Kelly added. Mom tried to play the victim again. "You don't know what she's done to this family." "Enough," Dad said, cutting her off. His voice was calm but firm. "I know exactly what's been going on. Amanda's been supporting all of you for years, and you've been taking advantage of her. That ends now." They tried to argue, but it was useless. Dad wasn't going to back down, and neither was I. "I'm done being your servant," I said. "From now on, you pay your own way. If you can't handle that, then leave. I've already spoken to a lawyer. I have full control of this house, and I'm not afraid to use it." The shock on their faces was priceless. They had no more leverage. For once, they realized they'd lost. In the end, they had no choice but to agree. Over the next few days, I set clear limits. They began to pay rent and cover their own expenses. The atmosphere in the house changed completely. They were no longer in control, and they knew it. As for Dad, he stayed for a while to help me get things in order. We began to rebuild our relationship, something I thought was lost forever. Aunt Lisa even reached out to me and told me she was proud of how I was standing up for myself. It wasn't just about taking control of the house, it was about taking control of my life. And for the first time, I finally felt free. That's it. Everything is resolved, and Amanda finally got the justice she deserved. Let me know what you think.